Returning to our top story now, an earthquake hit Syria. One of the worst affected areas is in the far northwest in Latakia. Miriam Watt, who works for Australian aid organisation ADRA, is in the Syrian capital Damascus, having just returned from the government-controlled region. I spoke with Miriam earlier about the deepening crisis there and the lack of aid getting through.
When you talk to people asking what are their biggest need, what can we provide, some people are just so shocked and overwhelmed they can't respond at all. Others, just everything. They need everything: food, shelter, mattresses, blankets, anything that can help them get them through this next couple of days.
It's obviously been a difficult situation in Syria. How is the civil war hampering efforts to get aid to those much-needed areas?
The situation is not helping, as you said. There is critical shortages of fuel. There's issues importing materials. You have the streets. There is 5 or 6 buildings completely flattened on the ground. And because the earthquake struck at 4 o'clock in the morning, so all families were at home. So we heard stories that the whole family has passed away. You hear other stories of kids who the parents, they managed to get the kids out, but they themselves died. So they've been passed on to relatives, friends, neighbours. Over 100 buildings in Latakia alone have collapsed, and we're talking about big apartment buildings, so minimum four apartments, so it could be anywhere to 4 to 8 families living there.
And Miriam, you've been there in Syria since 2014. How does the crisis now compare to the time that you've been there?
Well, the crisis has seen many changes over the last couple of years. This is probably the worst that I've seen it, especially now after this earthquake. There is a lot of shortages of basic services and supplies. People are really struggling to be able to put food on the table and to support their families. The country was sort of moving towards recovery. We were moving a lot of our resources into livelihoods, into supporting families to be able to rebuild their lives, but this earthquake has really set us back now to basic distributions and supplies for those in need.
That was Miriam Watt, who is in Syria working with Australian aid organisation ADRA.